As I always say, politicians only matter if politics matters. There's no point obsessing about who the Lord Privy Seal is if all you're doing is reshuffling the captain's table on the Titanic. Presumably, Liz Truss sincerely believes she can do something about things that matter. The border force and the RNLI ferrying those 1,000 young chaps a night to the southern shore of England for the express check-in suggests that nothing's going to change. Giorgia Meloni in Italy certainly believes she has the capacity to act, which is why Cruella von der Leyen is already threatening to rain down the wrath of the European Commission upon her. Dr. David Starkey joins me. David, when I listen to people like Frau von der Leyen and I listen to backbench Tories and political commentators explain that nothing can be done about the migrant boats in the English Channel, I sort of get the feeling that we are kind of transitioning into some kind of post-democratic age in which something has changed about the expectations of democratic politics. What do you reckon?
I think you're absolutely right. And just going back to Giorgia Meloni in Italy, it's really worth remembering she will be, if she becomes Prime Minister, the first democratically elected Prime Minister in Italy in 14 years. Everybody else has been some sort of technocrat, often not even a member of Parliament, brought in to appease the values of Europe, as Cruella von der Leyen would actually say. And this is the problem. This is what we're seeing so clearly throughout Europe now. There is a sense that our values, Italian values, British values, Hungarian, which are all different. They've all got different histories. Our values are rooted in history. The problem with a George Soros, with a von der Leyen, is they imagine there's a thing called universal human value. There aren't. Universal human rights were brilliantly described by another Jeremy, not Jeremy Corbyn, but Jeremy Bentham in the early 19th century as nonsense on stilts. They are absurd. Can anybody tell me when they're discovered? Well, actually, I know when they're discovered. This is supposed to be about history. They're invented with disastrous consequences by Eleanor Roosevelt in 1945. No one has a notion of it before then. And we are reaping this notion of, therefore, if we believe in universal values, let's just follow the logic through. Exactly the sort of thing you've been doing in that conversation with those three very impressive doctors. Let's follow the logic through. If you believe there are universal human values, you really don't believe that states actually exist, that frontiers matter, that citizenship matters. What you say is, we're all from a common pool of humanity. The rights of the asylum seeker, the rights of the immigrant, the rights of the native are absolutely identical. And like the Royal National Lifeboat Institution, it is your job to help them. They have human demands which cry upon the heart. Now, this may be, though early Christianity wouldn't have recognized it, this may be a Christian position. It's not one which makes a nation state sustainable. The first duty of the politicians of a nation state is to the people who elect them, to their citizens. They have no duty directly to anybody else unless there is a democratic mandate. And we just need to recognize this fact. It's fundamental, it's basic, and it's particularly important here, Mark, where we have, of course, unlike Italy, unlike France, unlike Germany, we have a non-contributory system of welfare and healthcare. That means potentially every immigrant is liable to housing, benefits, healthcare. Yeah. And as remember, we've had 6 or 7 million of them since 1997. Nobody bothers to connect the fact that we have a little bit of a housing crisis. Is it at all surprising?
No. And people say, 15 hours, I call 999, the ambulance shows up the next business day. When did that happen? Well, when you let in all these people. You talked about it from the view of George Soros and Frau von der Leyen and Klaus Schwab, and I can see what's in it. And even His Majesty the King when he was Prince of Wales. And I can see what's in it for them when they're at their interesting meetings in Davos. But when does the man on the street, whether he's in Lombardy or Lancashire, say, well, look, these people just keep telling us that you cannot change the trajectory of your society through democratic elections? Isn't that leading to the logic of revolution and violence down the road?
I would entirely agree. And there's something else too, which again, there was a brilliant piece in today's Telegraph by Nick Timothy, pointing out that the standard argument that's used, in fact, is being used by Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng to justify increased immigration, is that it's good for the economy. The great problem is, of course, it's good for the economy in one sense. It means crops don't rot in the field. It means that the elderly in care homes can be looked after relatively cheaply. It means we can pillage India for its doctors and nurses and Nigeria and so on. But what, of course, it leads to directly are low wage levels here because you undercut. And what is even more important, it leads to this British disease, which is low productivity. We have got the lowest level of mechanization in the sense of new forms of robotics and whatever of any leading economy in Europe. In other words, if you actually look at a French farm or a German farm, British farms used to be way, way, way ahead in technology. Now they're way, way behind. And again, you look at an American farm, everything is gathered automatically. There are machines that do this, that, and the other. We've been extraordinarily slow to invest because we've had cheap immigrant labor. It's a drug. It's a disease. And it's a disease which undercuts our economy. It undercuts our politics. And it undercuts fundamentally the sense of actually belonging to a country. And this is the thing. This is, of course, what Meloni is on about. She's talking about identity. She's talking about, it seems to me quite reasonably, her slogan, she's a Catholic, of course, God, homeland and family. That's what she's talking about. And this is a language which we're hearing in Poland. It's a language which we're hearing in Hungary. We heard it with Brexit here. And if politicians are deaf to it, they'll be swept away.
Just to go back to Signora Maloney's argument, because we hear all this about things that are good for the economy. We've heard it now, actually, for 60 years. Yeah. That's why in your part of the world, because you said to us a couple of weeks ago your parents were from Oldham, and in Lancashire and in Yorkshire they were told we need all this immigration to come here to keep the mills working. Well, the mills closed. They're all gone. And what is left is the cultural contradictions, which in the end, the mills go, but the madrasas stay. And isn't Signora Maloney right here to suggest that the interests of Italians in Italy or Swedes in Sweden or Hungarians in Hungary have to be part of the equation?
Indeed, I would say they have to be the dominant part, because the other profound, the other profound risk is, if you like, those who fail the Norman Tebbit cricket test. What we're seeing in Leicester, the importation of foreign politics, in other words, the politics of hatred between India and Pakistan, loosely Hindu versus Islam, into our cities here. And of course, spreading from Leicester to London to wherever. And all of this comes from a refusal to confront the fact that immigration can be a thoroughly good thing. Your country, Mark, is the creation of immigration. Many immigrants have played an absolutely fundamental part in the development of Britain. But there have been immigrants who have recognized the priority of the culture to which they have moved. And they've embraced it. No. They want to be part of it, and they want to develop within it. They don't at all need to lose their own. The striking thing about the most successful immigrants, like Jews, like many Hindus nowadays, Sikhs, is that they are what I would call bicultural. They're not multicultural. All these cultures are not equal. There has to be an overriding one. And what's striking is, you see, we're particularly vulnerable in England because of English. You look in Denmark or Sweden, particularly Denmark, because you've got a funny language, you can actually exercise quite a powerful measure of direct assimilation.
No.
English makes us much more open, therefore we need stronger fences, and we've got weaker ones.
I'm stunned by you saying all cultures are not equal, David. That is going to be an Ofcom complaint right there. How dare you be judgmental about different cultures? We're going to have to get a formal notice disassociating ourselves from such a dissident thought. Thank you very much.